जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Shripad Paramahams Parivrajakacharya Ashtatrishta Shishimari Grace Abhajra Naravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Shripad Paramahams Parivrajakacharya Ashtatrishta Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This morning, reading from Canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter number 2, The Lord in the Heart, text 25 and 26 as well. Okay, please repeat. Tad Vishwanabhim Tvativartya Vishnor. Tad Vishwanabhim Tvativartya Vishnor. Aniyasa virajanaatmanekaha. Aniyasa virajanaatmanekaha. Namaskritam Brahma Vidamupaiti. Namaskritam Brahma Vidamupaiti. Kalpayusho yad vibudharamante. Kalpayusho yad vibudharamante. Tad Vishvanabhim tva ativartya Vishnor. Aniyasa virajanatmanekaha. Namaskritam Brahma Vidamupaiti. Kalpayusho yad vibudharamante. Tad Vishvanabhim tvativartya Vishnor. Aniyasa virajanatmanekaha. Namaskritam Brahma Vidamupaiti. Kalpayusho yad vibudharamante. Tad Vishwanabhim tvativartya Vishnor. Malajis. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. This Shishumara is the pivot for the turning of the complete universe, and it is called the navel of Vishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. The yogi alone goes beyond the circle of Shishumara and attains the planet Maharloka, where purified saints like Bhrigu enjoy a duration of life of 4,300,000,000 solar years. This planet is worshipable even for the saints who are transcendentally situated. Text 26. Ato anantasya mukhanalena danda hyamanam saniriksha vishvam niryati siddheshvara yushtha dishnyam yadvai paradhyam taduparameshtyam. Translation. At the time of the final devastation of the complete universe, the end of the duration of Brahma's life, a flame of fire emanates from the mouth of Ananta, from the bottom of the universe. The yogi sees all the planets of the universe burning to ashes, and thus he leaves for Satyaloka, by airplanes used by the great purified souls. The duration of life in Satyaloka is calculated to be 15,480 billion years. Purport. It is indicated herein that the residents of Maharloka, where the purified living entities or demigods possess a duration of life calculated to be 4,300,000,000 solar years, have airships by which they can reach Satyaloka, the topmost planet of the universe. In other words, the Srimad Bhagavatam gives us many clues about other planets far, far away from us, which modern planes and spacecraft cannot reach, even by imaginary speeds. The statements of Srimad Bhagavatam are accepted by great acharyas like Sridhar Swami, Ramanujacharya, and Vallabhacharya. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically accepts Srimad Bhagavatam as the spotless Vedic authority, and as such, no sane man can ignore the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam when it is spoken by the self-realized soul, Srila Shukadev Goswami, who follows in the footsteps of his great father, Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler of all Vedic literatures. In the creation of the Lord, there are many wonderful things we can see with our own eyes every day and night, but we are unable to reach them equipped by modern materialistic science. We should therefore depend on the fragmentary authority of we should not therefore depend on the fragmentary authority of materialistic science for knowing things beyond the range of scientific purview. For a common man, both modern science and Vedic wisdom are simply to be accepted, because none of the statements, either of modern science or of Vedic literatures, can be verified by him. The alternative for a common man is to believe either of them or both of them. The Vedic way of understanding, however, is more authentic because it has been accepted by the acharyas, who are not only faithful and learned men, but are also liberated souls without any of the flaws of conditioned souls. The modern scientists, however, are conditioned souls liable to so many errors and mistakes. Therefore, the safe side is to accept the authentic version of Vedic literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam, which is accepted unanimously by the great acharyas. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapade Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So early on in Srimad Bhagavatam, the absolute truth was established and it was defined, because Srila Prabhupada gives the example of a king. A king is Nara Devata. He's the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the material world. When the king goes from one state to another state, or from one country to another country, or to another kingdom, then the king doesn't travel by himself, but he takes all of his army with him, and his entourage, his cooks, and so many other things with him. So just defining the king as the absolute authority is not complete, because the king himself is not complete without everyone who's assisting him as well. So that's what the definition of the absolute truth entails. So there's God, but then more importantly, there's God along with his energies, which can't be separated. So Srimad Bhagavatam established the absolute truth as vadanti tat tat vadas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti pramatmeti bhagavaniti sabjate. So this non-dual substance, this absolute truth, which means that all three things are different and at the same time it's the same thing. So Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So the chapter before this was elaborating more on the Brahman aspect, how one who is very much maturely inclined and absorbed in sense gratification, how such individuals can begin to appreciate the Supreme Absolute Truth through the material energy. And the example given is Chandra Shakha Nyaya. You've heard of this, Chandra Shakha Nyaya? So this is the philosophy of understanding or seeing the moon, appreciating the moon by seeing it through the branches of a tree. As Prabhupada often said, so if you want to show a little child, if you want to show a baby the moon, it's very hard for the baby to focus on the moon in the sky, because the baby is not used to looking up at the sky. The baby just sees immediately what's in front of him. So similarly, we tend to just concentrate and focus on things which are just within our material perception. So that's why, science has gained very much. It's very popular these days, because people want to see and experience the results before they put their faith in something. So the absolute truth. So Srila Prabhupada explains that he gives many examples for the absolute truth as well. He defines it as, the sun example, how you zoom into the sun, and you eventually see that there's a personality who's ruling on the sun planet. Or another example Srila Prabhupada gives is of a mountain. So you see it from a distance, but then you go into it, and then you see like it has trees in it, and then you go further into it, and there's people living there, living entities moving. So like that. So he gives these examples, and I think he gives some more examples as well. But another one I came across in terms of appreciating the absolute truth is sometimes it's very difficult when the sun comes, after nighttime, when the sun comes in the sky, how do we usually find out that it's daytime? Do we look directly at the sun? Oh, the sun has come up in the sky. Yeah, I'm looking at the sun. No, generally we don't say that it's daytime by looking directly at the sun. So Srila Prabhupada gives an example in another purport in Srimad Bhagavatam that one can first appreciate the rising of the sun, not so much directly looking at it, although that is possible. You can directly look at the sun and say the sun has risen. But one first appreciates the sun by seeing perhaps its reflection on the water. Or if you're inside a dark room and the sun has come up in the sky, then the sun shines through the window and it illuminates the walls of the dark room. So then you can appreciate that the sun has risen. So similarly, although it is very much possible, especially by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada, we can directly go from a heathen, like last week we were talking about the hedonistic lifestyle and how one can gradually raise through the different processes of the yoga ladder to come to bhakti. So one can come that way, or one can come directly from being a hedonist directly to bhakti by looking straight at the sun. So Srila Prabhupada's process is like that. So instead of appreciating Krishna in the material energy itself, worship the source of the material energy, Krishna directly. And once you understand that the material energy belongs to Krishna, then a very high level of renunciation is then engaging in the material energy in the service of Krishna. So that's one really nice example Srila Prabhupada gives. And here we're talking about Paramatma. Srila Prabhupada gives another example in the Bhagavatam. It's a very pertinent example because it's a very practical thing. Sometimes we pay our obeisances, we pay our dandavats. So if you remember back to the, or not back to, but if you remember the Daksha Yagya pastime, where Daksha Prajapati was performing a big yagya, all the demigods were there, and so many people from around the universe were there. And he walks into the assembly, and everyone receives him by standing up, except for two personalities. Who are those two personalities? Do you remember? Yeah, so Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma is Daksha Prajapati's father, yes? And Shiva is, yeah, son-in-law. Okay, son-in-law. So, but these two demigods are, they're like Lord Shiva, Kshiram Yathadadi Vikara Vishesha Yogat, Ashambhutam Apitata Samupaiti Karyat. Brahma Samhita says that Lord Shiva is almost like Vishnu. He's just like a transformation of the milk which gets turned into yogurt by contact with the sour catalyst. So that catalyst is the material energy. So when Vishnu he comes in contact with the material energy, that's basically Lord Shiva. So Shiva doesn't stand up, Brahma doesn't stand up, but Daksha he gets quite upset at the fact that Lord Shiva didn't stand up and he didn't pay obeisances to Daksha. Of course, on one hand, he's a son-in-law, but on the other hand, he's a very high personality, holds a very high position. Te te prabhava nichaya vitashyena. Right? So another quote, another verse that Lord Brahma himself says, Golokan damni nijdamni talechatasya devi maheshu haridama suteshu teshu. So Lord Shiva has his own planetary system sort of thing. So there's Devi Dham, which is this material world. Then there's Haridham, which is Vaikuntha. And then in between, Lord Shiva has his own abode, Mahesh Dham. So it was befitting Lord Shiva to not needing to stand up to receive Daksha. But then Daksha, he gets very upset, and we know the cursing and the counter cursing that goes on there. Now, Srila Prabhupada mentions that Daksha, he got upset at Lord Shiva because Shiva did not pay dandavats to Daksha's body. But Srila Prabhupada mentions in our Vaishnava tradition, when we pay dandavats, we're not paying dandavats to the other devotee's body, per se. Actually, we are paying dandavats to the Paramatma, which is within the body of the devotee. So that's why Srila Prabhupada mentions that in our Vaishnava tradition, someone who is even in a higher position will pay dandavats to someone who's in a lower position. So Prabhupada says that even a guru, therefore, will pay his humble obeisances to his disciple. Now, he may not physically do it. The guru may not physically pay dandavats, but within his heart, the guru will still pay dandavats to someone, his disciple, or whatever, or someone on a lower position, because we're actually paying our respects not to the person directly, but to the supersoul situated within. And the supersoul, Katha Upanishad says, is a nice verse, a very common example Srila Prabhupada gives as well. Samane vrikshe purusho nimagna nishaya shochati muyamanaha jushtham yada pashyati anyamisham asya mahimanam iti vita shoka. Our relationship with the Paramatma in the conditioned stage is like two birds sitting on a tree, and one of the birds, as you know, is eating the fruits of distress and happiness, and the Paramatma bird is simply waiting for the conditioned soul bird to turn to him to have a relationship with him. So it's like Shantaras. And the perfection that the yogis get is to that degree as well, Shanta. Our acharyas don't really consider Shanta Ras to be a relationship per se, because Shanta Ras means like two entities which have that Shanta Ras relationship are not actually doing anything until that relationship is stimulated by an external circumstance or event. So they're not going out of their way to serve one another, to share loving emotions with one another. It's just, you exist, I appreciate your existence, and you know that I exist, and you appreciate my existence, so that's it. And we'll just wait until perhaps you choose to go deeper and come closer, and then we can have a more deeper relationship. So for the yogis, that's the ultimate realization. After all the stages in the Ashtanga process, the yogi, the Ashtanga yogi realizes that Krishna is within my heart. Now, Prabhupada mentioned in the previous purport, there's two types of transcendentalists. There's the impersonalist and the personalist. And both of these transcendentalists can realize a Paramatma. But one of these transcendentalists, if he doesn't have mercy from a devotee, if he's not tinged with bhakti, then that transcendentalist, the impersonalist, can mistake the supersoul for being himself. And that is an utter devastation in the spiritual advancement of that yogi. Prabhupada gives us a warning in just, I think, a few purports ago. Srila Prabhupada was talking that this Mayavad philosophy is a complete detour, it's a complete distraction, because it may seem that one gets liberation, but ultimately that liberation leads to material entanglement again. So here we have the yogi, the Hatha yogi, the Ashtanga yogi, and he's gone past the stage perhaps of karma yoga, jnana yoga, and he's frustrated with jnana yoga because there was no activity performed in Jnana Yoga, but the soul is anandamayo abhyasat, the soul wants to perform activity. So then he begins his journey in Ashtanga. And he gives up his family connection, he gives up connection to society, goes to the forest, renounces everything, the clothes that he's wearing and the food, the opulent food that he was eating. And for many, many years, perhaps 60,000 years, Srila Prabhupada mentions, because Ashtanga Yoga, Dhyana Yoga was a process which was recommended, meditation on the Supersoul is a process which was recommended in Satya Yuga, where people lived for 100,000 years. So oftentimes, perfection in this process took about 50, 60,000 years. So after all that time, if one confuses the Supersoul to be himself, okay, then still one may reach Brahman. Right? Because the impersonalists, they reach Brahman. After spending countless years, time in Brahman, what happens to the soul? Aruya Krishena patanti ada. What is that verse? Krishena. Aruya Krishena param padam tata patanti ada nadata yushmad angraya. That even though they spent so long, so much effort, time and energy in going to the Brahmajyoti, they ascend to the Brahmajyoti, the ultimate result of that is that the soul comes back to this mature world. And Prabhupada says they become philanthropists and altruists and all that sort of stuff. So they tried so hard to renounce the world, and the ultimate result of that ekatvena liberation, that liberation of oneness, sayuja, come back to the mature world. Whereas Krishna says, Yad gatva na nivarantente. He says, those who knows janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattva. He says, if you understand me and develop a relationship with me, yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana. If you develop a relationship with me, then you won't come back to this mature world. So that's a different type of liberation completely. So we have to strive to develop a relationship with the Lord in the heart. I remember, and amazing things can happen. Like in book distribution, you see it all the time. You show a book to someone, they're passing by, and they see the cover, and then they keep walking, and they walk 5-6 steps past you, and then they just stop in their tracks, and they turn around and say, "What was that? What was that?" And they come back, and they say, "I was looking for this book." And one guy, he told me that I went to that bookstore in Town Hall, Kino, some Japanese name is there. So he was just there, and he was looking for the Bhagavad Gita, and he couldn't find it. And he comes down, and I was just there on George Street, and he walked past me, and I stopped him. And I didn't stop him, actually. He walked past me, and then he came back, and he said, "I was just looking for this book just upstairs at that bookshop." So that's just one example. And that happens all the time. People are looking for this book, and here they go, they find it, or they've been researching the Bhagavad Gita or some other book. In the past weeks, they've been seeing YouTube videos about this, of Srila Prabhupada, and all of a sudden they get a book. So Paramatma, Krishna within the heart, he arranges really extraordinary circumstances and situations for us to, not only to increase our faith in him, but to progress towards reaching him as well. Like I remember when just before Gaur Purnima, myself and some other devotees, we were doing the decorations at nighttime in the altar. So it was like past midnight or something, and we were putting up the flowers and the backdrop in the altar. And Srivas Prabhu, Srivas Nitai Gaur Prabhu, so he had conceptualized the decoration. So he was there along with Vrindavan Palini Mataji and me and some other brahmacharis, Ganesham Prabhu. We were doing the decorations inside the altar. And then at one point I was on like a big ladder at the back, putting some, with a pin, special type of pin, putting some garlands to the backdrop, some flower garlands to the backdrop. And I was on this big ladder, and it was really awkward. And before I put the garland, I turned around, like I climbed the ladder, and I turned around, and Srivas Prabhu said, "Here, take this pin and attach the garland to the backdrop." So he gave me this pin. And I told him, "Yeah, I'll only need one pin." So he gave me this one pin. It was a really nice pin, it was like really long, like maybe 3 inches or something like that, and it had this really like a really nice silver head to it. So I hadn't seen this type of pin before. So he gave it to me, and I attached the garland. But I found out that the garland was a bit heavy, so I needed another pin actually. And he had only given me one pin. And I turned around to ask him, "Prabhu, I need another pin. Can you please give me another pin?" And he happened to be busy talking with someone else, with one of the other devotees there, about the decorations and planning and all that sort of stuff. And I called out to him 2 or 3 times, but he didn't hear me. He was busy. So I thought I needed another pin. So I was looking to him because I was on the ladder and it was a bit awkward. So then I looked back at the backdrop, and on top of the ladder, another pin was there. And I was shocked. There's no explanation how that another pin could be there. Because I wasn't able to stay there for long because it was really hard, right at the top, turning around. So I couldn't stay there for long, and I called out and then turned around and another pin was there. I was like shocked. I couldn't explain it. I remember my mother telling me another story a long time ago when I wasn't a devotee. I was very young, and it stuck with me. This happened to a friend of hers. So this woman, this lady, she had some engagement with some of her friends or something at nighttime, and then it was really late at night, and then after her engagement with her friends or whatever, she was walking back home, and it was a very dangerous sort of path that she was walking late at night to go back home, and it was infamous for having thugs and goons and gundas and all that sort of stuff. So she was walking there through this path, and she happens to cross a man coming the other way. And she was a devotee. I don't know if she was an ISKCON devotee. That time, my family was not in ISKCON, so maybe, but she was chanting, my mother told me she was chanting Vishnu's name. Because she got some bad vibe about this guy coming the other way. And so she started chanting Vishnu's name. And she was walking alone. So anyway, this guy, he passed her. She continued walking, and she reached home. All good. But she found out later, because she got called to the court by some police, because what happened is that just a few minutes later, this particular man who had passed her, he had assaulted another woman and kidnapped her or something like that. I don't know exactly what happened, but there was another woman who was passing along that same road at night, and this man who was walking along the street, he had kidnapped her or done something. And so this guy was called to court, and this woman who made it back home, she was called to court as well. And this guy was made to confess in court, saying, recount the events that happened. And he was saying, he was walking at night, and in that particular alley, that night he was walking, only two people. He passed only two people. First was this woman who was chanting Vishnu's name, and the second was the woman whom he attacked. So, the judge asked him, so why didn't you attack this first woman? And he said, I couldn't attack her because on either side of her, there were two men walking along with her. Actually, she was alone, but she was chanting Vishnu's name. But when this guy saw her, he saw it as if there were two men standing next to her and walking along with her. So this is it's really amazing, It's really extraordinary how Krishna, if you take shelter of Krishna, Krishna can arrange things like that to happen, to protect his devotee, and to give more faith ultimately. Because Krishna is not so much about protecting our body. Krishna is about protecting our Krishna consciousness. That's the main thing. Like Kshatrihi Praja Rakshan, right? Prabhupada quotes that verse, that Sanskrit verse in his purports to Bhagavad Gita, Kshatrihi Praja Rakshan. So Kshatriya is responsible for protecting the praja, protecting the inhabitants of the state. But Prabhupada goes on to say that the greatest enemy that the Kshatriya has to protect, that the king has to protect his citizens from, is the enemy of lust. Because this enemy of lust, Srila Prabhupada explains, is the eternal enemy of the conditioned soul. So that is the greatest protection. The greatest protection is to protect one's advancement in Krishna consciousness from enemies like different anarthas and the 6 vices and all that sort of stuff. So here we're seeing the ascent. Like if you look at, today we're doing 25 and 26. If you look at text 21, bear in mind, this is talking about an Ashtanga yogi who has gained perfection by witnessing the Supersoul within the heart. Now, if this Ashtanga yogi is a bhakta, so if he's realized that I must now serve Krishna within the heart in pure devotion, then what is the result? This is text 21. Thereafter, the bhakti yogi should push the life air up between the eyebrows, and then blocking the 7 outlets of the life air, he should maintain his aim for going back home, back to Godhead. If he is completely free from all desires for material enjoyment, he should then reach the cerebral hole and give up his material connections, having gone to the Supreme. So a bhakti yogi who is following the Ashtanga process, like Dhruva Maharaj, initially he was practicing Ashtanga, and even though he was practicing Ashtanga, he was actually a bhakti yogi. So the bhakti yogi can also reach Vaikuntha following the Ashtanga process as well. So what happens is that the soul, it comes from the hole in the skull. It's called the cerebral hole, and it reaches Vaikuntha. It goes back home, back to Godhead. Prabhupada mentions in the purport that for an ordinary person, the soul comes from out of the mouth. The soul leaves the body from out of the mouth. If the person is extremely sinful, the soul may leave from the lower orifices of the body, and it descends to the hellish planets afterwards. But for a pure devotee, the soul leaves from the top of the head. So that's for a pure devotee. Now, the next verse, text 22, is explaining, If, however, the yogi maintains a desire for improved material enjoyments, then the soul does not necessarily leave from the cerebral hole and go back to Vaikuntha, but he transfers to the topmost planet Brahmaloka, or the achievements of the... Sorry. So if the Yoga Mishra Bhakta, at the time of death, if he maintains a desire, some material desire, I want to enjoy the heavenly planets, or here it's saying, I want the eightfold mystic perfections, or I want to travel in outer space with the Vaihayasas. Vaihayasas are these 60,000 sages, right? So there's some 60,000... Huh? That's not them? Okay, sorry. So anyway, if he maintains some material desire, then gradually the soul of this Ashtanga yogi rises through the material universe to eventually reach Brahmaloka, and from Brahmaloka he may then go to Vaikuntha. So this is a very slow process, a roundabout way of reaching Vaikuntha. Either you can go directly from where you are, like right now. If we practice Krishna consciousness, then we can quit this material body and go straight to Golok Vrindavan, Vaikuntha. Or if we harbor some material desires, then we can gradually be elevated to the higher planets, then to the planets above the pole star, then we can reach Satya Loka, and then when Brahma goes back to Godhead, Brahma can take us with him. So that's a very roundabout way. Here it's saying that as this particular Ashtanga yogi, he raises through the planetary systems, he passes over the Milky Way by the illuminating Shishumna to reach the highest planet Brahmaloka, and he first goes to the Vaishvanara planet where the deity of fire is, where he becomes completely cleansed of material contaminations, and he still goes higher to the circle of Shishumara. So Shishumara, what is that? So that's explained in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So you have the pole star, right? Dhruvaloka. That's where Dhruva Maharaj is residing. It's actually a Vaikuntha planet. And Krishna is staying there as well. Vishnu is staying there as well. And at the destruction of this entire material universe, at the end of the lifetime of Brahma, this planet itself is not destroyed. It's a spiritual planet within the material world. Like a spiritual island, a spiritual oasis within this material world. It doesn't get destroyed. Now, Shishumara is an incarnation of Krishna. It's something like the Virat Rupa. It's not really a physical incarnation, it's more like a conceptualization. So you have Bhur, Bhuva, and Svaha. So Bhu is like our earthly planetary system, Bhumandala. Then Bhuvar is like Antariksha. It's just like, I think 900 miles, something like that, Bhagavatam explains, just above the planetary system of the earth. And it's like where all the ghosts and the yakshas and all the subtle beings, they live there. That's the Bhuvar plane. And in Svaha is the heavenly planets where Indra and all the other principal demigods are staying. Above Bhur, Bhuva and Svaha, there is the pole star. Now this Bhur, Bhuva and Svaha has thousands and millions of different planetary systems within it. Thousands and millions of different planets. And this pole star is right at the top of Bhur, Bhuva and Svaha, planetary systems. And it is connecting all these different planets in Bhur, Bhuva, Svaha. They're connected to the pole star, like a chandelier. Right? So if you look at the chandelier there, all these little glass, spherical things are connected to some central point in the chandelier. And what is actually happening is all these planets in Bhur, Bhuva, Svaha are orbiting this pole star. Now when these planets, they orbit, they make up a certain constellation, which if the yogis, if they look in the sky, this constellation, it looks like a dolphin. And the name of this dolphin is Vasudev. That, in Sanskrit, dolphin is translated to be Shishumara. So that is Shishumara. So when these planets orbit around the pole star is just fixed in position, like the central point of a chandelier. Or another example is given, yes, Srimad Bhagavatam gives this really nice example of threshing the wheat. So some time back, before the advent of tractors and all this machinery, they still do it in villages, I guess. You have a central pivot point, and then you have like an axle coming off the central pivot point, and 3 bulls adjacent to each other are tied to this axle. And these 3 bulls travel around this central pivot point. And as they travel, they crush the grains which are placed in the center there, in that pivot. This is an example which is given for the Shishumara. So these bulls, they travel at different speeds around the pivot. So similarly, these different planets in the planetary systems, or Bhurbhuvasa, they orbit around the pole star at different speeds, at different distances away. So that's why they make up, if you look at it, they are said to make up a constellation which looks like a downward-facing dolphin. That's the Shishumara. So the yogi passes through that as well and reaches Brahmaloka eventually. And from Brahmaloka, here it's talking about the lifespan of Brahma. I guess we know how to calculate that. Brahma lives for 2,000 Divya Yugas, and one Divya Yuga is equal to the sum total of Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. It comes to about 4.3 million years. That's one Divya Yuga. Brahma's daytime is equal to 1,000 Divya Yugas. So if you multiply 4.32 million by 1,000, you get 4.32 billion. And then 12 hours is also his night. So his entire, you could say, 24 hours is equal to 2,000 Divya Yugas. So 4.32 million multiplied by 2,000, you get 8.64 billion. That's one day of Brahma. Brahma lives for, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, 360 days, not 365, 360 days. I guess that's because the Vedic system is following the lunar calendar. So if you multiply 8.64 billion into 360, you get 3.11 trillion. That's 1 year of Brahma. Brahma lives for 100 such years. So 3.11 trillion multiplied by 100, the exact figure is something like 311 trillion years, 40 billion years. That's the lifestyle. That's the entire lifespan of Brahma. Now, interestingly here, Srila Prabhupada has translated that the duration of life in Satya Loka rather, is calculated to be 15,480 billion years. So the average lifespan of someone on Satya Loka is 15 billion years, whereas Brahma himself lives for 311 trillion years. That means Brahma must be seeing a lot of his inhabitants pass away. But anyway, whoever is remaining there at the time of Brahma's, at the end of Brahma's lifetime, that is explained that they are actually ascend to go to Vaikuntha along with Brahma, because that's if Brahma is a devotee. So I just want to finish by telling one quick story, since we're talking about Paramatma. This is a story I heard Radhanath Maharaj explain some time back in a lecture he gave in Chaupadi. It's a story which talks about the mercy of the Paramatma in our heart, and also the mercy